Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. This is a bit impromptu. I came across this series of tweets from um, a bad idea, right? Who is an animator editor for Sugar Punch and host of the ABI tutorials. I like that channel. I've often referenced their work in past videos that I've done. So I just want to be clear, this is just me having a respectful disagreement. He's totally entitled to his opinions. I just have a different view. And I'll be the first to acknowledge that our differing viewpoints are no doubt due to a sort of generation gap or a culture clash, right? The gaming world, the gaming culture that I originated in is no doubt different than the one he originated in. So first of all, I just want to be clear about that. This isn't me being angry or trying to dunk on him or anything else. It's just me disagreeing with him. And I like his content. I like the channel. I've referenced them several times. And also, I hope everybody is well. I know it's what is it, 2 whole days post Christmas. So for those who celebrate, or for those who celebrate any sort of holiday around this time of year, I hope you're well. I hope that you're enjoying yourself. I hope that the family's well or things are getting better. I know that for a lot of people, this can be a very difficult time of the year, very sad time of the year. So if that's what you're going through, I sincerely hope that things will be looking up. I hope that things will be looking up for all of us in 2023. I think we've all had enough. Like the past 2, almost 3 years now have been rough. And like the celebrity deaths are like scary at this point. It's like anybody born in the 60s, it's like put a watch on them because they're all croaking. But anyway, I just wanted to briefly address this, right? Because I think it touches upon, even though he and I disagree on this, I think it touches upon an interesting topic, which is, being welcoming in a community. It touches upon things like gatekeeping and the ever ongoing debate about easy mode or taking it easy on players or on newer players. So let me just get into it. So we have a tweet here by Start GG. I have no idea who that is or what that is. But it says here, we're begging you to go easy on the kids who got fighting games for Christmas and are jumping on net play for the first time. And a bad idea quote tweeted and said, people respond to this tweet with LOL, F them kids. And then wonder why there's no one online to play with, right? And then he goes on to say that the responses to this post, I know it's hard to see, I apologize for that. The responses to this post are only serving to highlight a bigger problem with the fighting game community. It's not even strictly about going easy on kids, it's the fact that no one is even considering to welcome new players into the fold. And sure, yeah, you can't control matchmaking. Fighting games really need better matchmaking. Fair enough. But it's the attitude that worries me. And maybe it's because fighting games don't enable players to actually help each other. Well, I respectfully disagree there. But people are hard leaning into the opposite direction. Yes, I've seen the Justin Wong "You're Gonna Learn" clip. You know what else? That kid will probably never play a fighting game as long as he lives. Why are you assuming it's a he, sir? Isn't that sexist? That's rude. This is why people don't play fighting games. Because the community doesn't want new people. Um, 1990s. 1990s. Only reason you have the fighting games you have today is because of the fighting game boom from the 19 flipping 90s, right? Whether you're talking about Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 11, the newest KOF game, Tekken 8, whatever it is. You have fighting games now because we had fighting games then. Fighting games are fine. They're not having an issue, at least not to my knowledge, with finding a player base. If they were, they wouldn't have literally lasted for 30 years now. So again, respectfully disagree. Because the community doesn't want new people. Again, I disagree. I think the fighting game community, I think most gaming communities want new people. But they want new people who will A, prove their mettle, and B, who will who are sincere, right? Who are sincere in their interest, who are not trying to infiltrate and change things from the inside out, as we've been seeing for the past several years, right? And people are understandably concerned about bad actors coming into a fairly niche hobby and trying to take everything about that hobby, call it a problem, and then change it, corrupt it, bastardize it from the inside out. But I don't think that the fighting game community doesn't want new people. Again, if there weren't new people coming into the fighting game community, fighting games wouldn't have lasted as long as they have. A franchise does not last 20, 30 years without, one, yes, maintaining a core player base. That's true. But also bringing in new people. It's a balance. You have to do both if you want to last as long as Street Fighter has. The first Street Fighter game came out in what, like 1986, 87, right? Second one came out in like 91, 92. So it's about as old as I am. Right? I'm 38 next month. So this series is nearly as old as me. Right? So you don't last nearly 40 years by not bringing in, by not maintaining an audience, and by not growing that audience. You have to maintain your base and grow overall, right? Maybe you don't see Street Fighter films like you did in the 1990s anymore, but believe me, you wouldn't have a Street Fighter 6 if there wasn't a player base. If there's anything you should take away from this entire discourse, it's that when the fighting game community, it's that when you ask the fighting game community to be nice for a change, the resounding answer is F no. Again, I disagree. I don't think that the fighting game community is saying a resounding F, F no or F you. I think that the rallying cry of many in the fighting game community is get good, scrub. Because yes, a lot of us did grow up in an age, got into fighting games at an age where you had to improve. Let's not forget what a fighting game is ultimately. It's competitive, right? I consider it competitive co-op in a sense, right? Because yes, the people, you will learn through winning and you will learn through defeat, right? You will learn through winning and you will learn through defeat. There are people who are willing to mentor you and to teach you how to play and how to improve. There used to be fighting game guides in magazines all the time. I remember reading GamePro, and they always had like a fighter's edge section dedicated to doing certain moves or certain strategies. You can easily look up all this information online, or you can watch videos, especially these days because fighting games are so popular in the esports gaming community, right? You can easily watch videos. I've seen a few videos of esports gamers. I personally don't like esports gaming. Maybe it's because I actually did play fighting games, so it's kind of like preaching to the choir in a sense. And I actually find that the commentary, for me at least, is a bit grating. It's like I just want to watch the match. I don't want to hear this loud, Joe Rogan wannabe type commentator, telling me all this technical jargon that I don't care about. But again, that's just me. If you want to learn about fighting games or improve, you can do that. And in the end, you have to practice, practice, practice. I remember when games like Tekken 3, right, had a practice mode, right? And even later games like Street Fighter 4 had a practice mode. That's how you get better at fighting games. You practice. I remember being a kid, like no joke. I was a kid, had to be like 10, 11 years old, right? MK3. My brother kicked my ass from pillar to post in that game with certain characters. I got so frustrated, I would literally stay up at night. This is how you know I was young, because I could actually stay up all night and not feel tired. But I would stay up all night, plug in the second controller, choose different characters and choose the characters he would play as, and I would just try to learn all the special moves of all the characters, and especially the ones that I like to play. So that eventually I did learn to play better, right? there were certain games that we were just like, he was better at like Street Fighter than I was when I was a kid. He was better with certain characters in MK3 than I was. Right, but that's what I did. But that's what I did. If you want to be in the space and if you're passionate about it, nothing will keep you from it. You'll do what you have to do. You will grow, you will learn, you will improve. Right? Again, I don't think that the fighting game community is anti new people. It's anti it's anti a lack of willingness to work, I guess you could say. Sure, you can come in, but are you willing to work? Are you willing to uh, practice? Are you willing to take your L's? Are you willing to take your losses? Because again, it's a competitive space. This is a thing that frustrates me. And with all due respect to him, I get tired of people trying to tone down and babyfy what is naturally a competitive space. Fighting games are competitive. Sports titles are competitive. Action adventure games are competitive. First person shooters are competitive. Even games like Fortnite or Overwatch, they're competitive. They're first person shooters fundamentally, and they're competitive. If you cannot hang in a competitive space, that's fine. But don't try to change the space or tone it down so that now you can fit in. Accept the fact that you don't fit and move on to something that is more your speed. Right? I have no problem with teaching new players how to do special moves, or especially like in fighting games, right? People always do button mapping, and they switch the controls to their liking, and that's fine. And I will give you a few kind of like test hits, I guess you could say, to figure out which button does which. But after that, it's on, because it's a fight. It's a virtual fight, but it's a fight. And if I'm in this fight, I'm here to win. I'm not here to throw the match, especially if you're not giving me money for it. It's a little different if you're gonna pay me, but I'm not here to throw the match to make you feel better about yourself. I'm not here to throw the match, right, so that you develop a false sense of security, because that's what happens if you coddle a person, right? You coddle a person, you make them feel like they're always winning, you inflate their ego. And then when they eventually leave you, when they go play someone else, someone who does not do what you do, who doesn't coddle, right, then that person is going to suffer an even more crushing defeat. And their ego is going to get crushed even more, because now they realize, oh, I was never good. I was never good at all. Right? Whereas, if you are honest with them, if you let them take those lumps, take those losses, right, and you teach them how to play, right, defeat them, sure, but also teach them how to play. Show them what they did wrong, how to read an attack, how to pull off an attack, how to cancel, how to do this, how to feint, how to whatever. Then they will improve, if that's what they want to do. Some people may just be turned off to the very technical elements of fighting games, and maybe just don't want to, engage in that type of intensity, right? They don't want to become like a tournament player, or a serious player. They just want to be casuals. And again, that's fine. That's okay. You can be casual, but you may not want to be in the fighting game community if you're a bit more casual about things. Now, I want to be clear, this is different than like taunting or whatnot. Now, in general, because it's a competitive space, there will be taunting, and I'm generally in favor of it. But there is a limit, and I do believe that you can turn people away if you are needlessly cruel. If you are needlessly mean to individuals, then yes, even if they like something or they have an interest, you might kill that interest, right? You might turn that person off. But there's a difference between a lighthearted teasing and cruelty or bullying. And in my personal opinion, right, because he mentions here at 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 one point about how he talks about the Justin Wong "You're Gonna Learn" clip, and he says that the kid will never play a fighting game again in their life. Unless you know that child, you don't know that. If the idea is that losing in a fighting game, right? Competitive. Literally, two people enter, one person leaves, right? If the idea is that losing in a genre which has always been known to have a strong possibility of losing, right? Because it's a competitive environment, whether it be real combat sports or virtual combat sports. If the idea of losing, right, is going to turn someone off to the fighting game community or to fighting games in general, you don't have to be in the fighting game community to play fighting games. I'm not in the fighting game community and I play fighting games, or at least I used to. But if that's going to turn someone off, if the possibility of losing is going to turn someone off, then that person doesn't belong there. It's that simple. If the possibility of losing is going to turn you off to a fighting game, then you don't belong in the fighting game community and you probably shouldn't play fighting games. Because guess what? Even if you play a fighting game on easy, right, and many fighting games, especially when I was growing up, had varying levels. They had easy modes, right? Easy, normal, hard, extreme, or stars, or whatever it was. Even on normal, or even on easy, you can lose. There's a higher probability you will win, but even if you play on easy, and anyone who has played on easy will tell you this, that the game gets progressively more and more difficult as you go on in the matches. Right? If you've played on easy, you know that fighting the boss characters is much more difficult than fighting, say, your first or second opponent. Because there's a creep, right? There's a difficulty creep. It gradually goes up. If that's going to turn someone off to fighting games, then that person simply doesn't like fighting games. Because that's a fundamental, essential element of fighting games is that, yes, it's competitive. Yes, you're going to lose. You're going to take your L's. You're probably going to take more L's than dubs. You're going to have more L's than W's. But the W's are going to be what makes it worth it. Right? And that's just my opinion, right? I don't believe in bullying. I don't believe in being cruel. Right? And I believe certainly if someone's new and they're interested, right? Yeah, teach them. Teach them strategies, right? Show them what they're doing wrong. Explain to them how different characters play, right? Explain to them what a Shoto character is. Explain to them what a zoning character is or what zoning is in a fighting game. Do all that, right? But this idea of, oh, you're gonna turn them off if you don't beat them, then they don't belong, right? Or, oh, the fighting game community doesn't want to grow or change. Don't see proof of that. Don't see proof of that at all. And again, perhaps it's just because I come from an old school mentality, but I'd rather somebody defeat me honestly and show me what I did wrong so that I can learn and improve than to someone to basically throw the match, give me the win, allow me to develop a false sense of security, and then get not just my and then go on. Then if I go on to another person who's more skilled, right? Then I get both my character and my ego crushed, because then you get a hard dose of this thing called reality. You're not as good as you think you are. That's the thing about fighting games. It will keep you humble, because even some of the best get beat. Justin Wong, for example, he's a great player. He still gets caught with that Chun-Li combo in Street Fighter 3. Right? That's the beauty of it. If that's not something you can deal with, it's not for you. And that's okay. But it's not on the fighting game. This is not an issue, in my opinion, on the fighting game community, right? I don't think the onus is on them. I think the onus in this case is on the player. Because if there's a fundamental element of something that you don't like, it's fine to dislike it, but then you've also got to find something else. I just want to share the response that I left. Right, I wanted to make this video to just expand upon it a little bit more, but I just want to leave the brief. I just want to share the brief response that I made to him, which is this. Eh, perhaps it's my old school sensibilities, but no one took it easy on me when I was a kid, least of all the damn CPU. So I don't take it easy on others. I will teach a newbie, but I won't spare them defeat. That's basically it. A 20-minute video summed up in one tweet. That's the way I view it. That's the way I view it. And again, he's entitled to his opinion. Right? He's entitled to his opinion. I'm not trying to, slam him or be insulting or anything. This is just the way I view it. So, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye.